Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, and you can hit us up on the Bordas & Bordas hotline, which is 412-575-2600. Also, Twitter, at KD Pomp, at Chris Mueller PGH, and Chris is up at 93.7 The Fan, and I believe we're simulcast. No, we're not. The Pirate game's on. Never mind. I forget about that. We'll talk about the Pirates in a second. I forget what time of day it is anymore, Chris. But I want to start with a question. 3 days from now, less than that, we will know the answer to the question, who will the Pirates take with the number one pick? Some people still want to mention that 17-year-old. Some people want to mention Wyatt Langford. I still got to believe, most people believe it's going to be between 1 and 2. I know how you feel. I know how I feel. What do you think the Pirates feel?
I think the Pirates are going to pick. Here we go. Ready? You got a drum roll like this is National Lampoon. Thank you. With the first pick in the 2023 MLB draft, the Pirates select Wyatt Langford, outfielder, Florida.
I wouldn't be mad with that necessarily because I know how good that dude is. He can hit the ball a long way.
He's a more of a pure power, he might not hit for average guy, whereas Cruz, it seems, just has all the hitting tools. Maybe we had somebody today, a really good guest actually, from a prospect-affiliated website who just said Cruz is the kind of guy that's going to hit 25 to maybe 30 home runs and just be a really good pure hitter. Now, that might sound like Brian Reynolds to some people, but if you're getting that in the guy's early 20s and maybe he grows into a little more power, I think you've got a potential star. The Langford thing, I don't know why it bugs me so much because his numbers are insane and eye-popping and everybody knows he's got plus power, Bob. But it's like if this guy was so good, why were we only hearing about Dylan Cruz about 2 months ago? Why was he so obviously the consensus best guy that now we've suddenly got Wyatt Langford, putting himself into the mix? It just, something about it seems off, but I think that's who they're going to pick.
What would happen in this town if they chose 17-year-old Max Clark, the outfielder who's still in high school? I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just curious if it would.
I think there's a chance, but I think the worst thing would be people would be understandably very upset, even if the kid ended up being really good, because of what it means. What have you been hearing? Even people we've talked to. Pony and I have talked to people who are prospect people, even the guy today that we spoke to, Joe Doyle. And he said, well, the Pirates seem like they're entering into a window of contention. Everyone says that. Keith Law, I think, has mentioned that. Like, oh, this team looks like they're ramping up into a competitive window. Well, if you draft at 1-1 a high school outfielder, you're basically saying this guy who we're picking isn't going to help us for probably 4 years. So then that would put in my head, wait a minute, do the Pirates think they're further away than maybe the rest of the industry thinks, or maybe their fans think? And I think that would be the thing that would bug people the most. It would certainly bug me the most. You'd be saying a college player who's a major impact guy can't really help us enough right now.
Right. This is about now. Enough of the 17-year-olds. I realize the guy's talented. There are a lot of talented people in this draft, but you got to go with players who will be here sooner rather than later. And anybody who's 17 will not emerge until they're here at least 22, maybe 23, in some places 21. Depending on if that guy is good, but still, that's 3-4 years away, as you mentioned. Pirates made a roster move, and I'm glad they did. Ronzi Contreras has headed back to AAA. He needs to go there. Putting him in games like we saw last night was just throwing away a game, in my opinion. He's trying to get his velocity back, his location back, all these things. He should not be in a situation like that when the Pirates had a lead last night, and next thing you know, it's totally gone. So good move, but I think it took a little too late for me.
Well, I think they just didn't want to believe that he was as broken as he seems, and they tried to throw him out there in a slightly higher leverage situation, Bob, than they had recently, and it blew up in their faces pretty spectacularly. I still wonder, is this guy's arm okay? You talked about he doesn't have his location, he doesn't have his velocity. That velocity is way more troubling to me. Is there anything wrong in his forearm? They seem to think not. That's why they just sent him down, and we're not getting any kind of news that he's going on the DL or anything like that. But I would be concerned. Guy at 23 years old suddenly loses his ability to run it up there in the high 90s. That's a problematic situation.
The good news, he's 23. He's still a very young guy. They got him with expectations that he would be one of their main starters. So there's time for that to happen. I'm not, while I'm concerned about a lot of things, I'm not concerned that his career is suddenly fading because it hasn't even really begun. When we come back, Chris, we're going to talk about this still lingering situation with Erik Karlsson out west in San Jose. What would it take for the Penguins to acquire him? How much would they have to give up? All of that is coming up. We want your opinions as well, so call us at 412-575-2600. That's your way to talk to us right here live on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're back in a flash.